Welcome back to beautiful Shanghai. It is mid-afternoon right now here in Shanghai as we bring you action from the final day of the group stages here at the 2017 Asia Championships for Dota 2. It is a terrific day as well. We've really enjoyed the matches so far, but I've got a feeling we've saved the best till last. The last two series in both groups are going to decide which of the teams qualify into the upper bracket. We've been talking about this for the last 3 days, but if you haven't been with us, just to clear it up, 4 teams will go into the upper bracket alone. The other 8 will all drop into the lower bracket, where it will be one life only for them. EG have already gone down to the lower bracket, as we said earlier on, a very dangerous team in that lower bracket, and it's now time to find out which 2 teams join IG and OG alongside them. Our final matches are on both Stream 1 and Stream 2. You can catch Wings. They need to win 2 out of 2 over on the other stream right now, and Empire just need to pick up 1 and they will qualify. But right here on Stream 1, on the main stream, we will have NP. Incredibly, I can't even believe I'm saying this, on the verge of going through into the top 2, and they only need to win 1 of the 2 games in this matchup against Newbee. Newbee, on the other hand, can still qualify themselves. They need to win both of the games in this set. So we welcome back PPD to the couch alongside Shiva. Peter, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
Fun end to the group stages.
Yeah. So mean, though. You say
well, fun for us.
Can't believe
fun
that
for
MP
us.
is in the big American.
I only say that not because Peter's here and I know how salty he is about MP, but because we genuinely thought they would be a bit bummed out because they hadn't got to Kiev and they came here a bit miserable and they didn't look particularly good either. And then you look at the group stage and you think, wow, they've got the toughest group as well. They can't possibly get out of that group in the top 2.
At the end of the day, this is a show. This is for entertainment purposes. All the viewers at home are just trying to have a good time, and all of these teams, they're our gladiators, you know?
Yeah.
Fight for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, are you enjoying being on this side of the fence now?
No, that being in the arena is fun too.
Yeah, you're okay with that. Because I looked at today and
depends if you're winning or losing.
Well, of course, winning fixes everything. We've learned that this week. But I would be, I don't know if I could enjoy it in a day like this where you're like, you've got to come in, you've got to play a best of 2, you've got to win both of them to go through to the upper bracket. And if you lose 1 game alone, and that can just be a bit of cheese, and you're down in the lower bracket, that's a lot of stress to cope with. It
is a lot of stress, but that's what these competitors live for. You know, the competition is exhilarating, and that's part of the reason why everyone has such a hard time giving it up.
Yes, you're probably right. Where do we start with this one? Because I've sort of, said Team MP, it's incredible that they're on the verge of qualifying from this as well. I don't think anyone would have had them in their top 2 in this particular group as well, because this was a tough group for them.
Yeah, and it's strange because it just showed how close everyone is and how close this Group B is, because, like, everyone thinks like EG is the best North American team, and NP, they're like ranked number 4 kind of. They lost to Complexity and they lost to Onyx in the North American qualifiers for Kiev, and here they are almost at the top of their group. They're 1 game away from securing top 6 at DAC, and the list of teams here at DAC, most of these teams are headed to Kiev.
Yeah, 9 of the 12. Off to Kiev, so it's a tough field for them as well. We did also talk day 1, Shiva, about the fact that maybe, just maybe, this is Team MP's chance to shine because they're not in Kiev, therefore they can go all out here. They can come up with funky drafts and not have to hide anything and save anything for later. They can just do all the things they want to do now.
Hopefully not too funky. I remember that Spectre draft last night was...
Yeah. Let's not go too weird because that did get a bit weird. That's the reason why they're
here.
Yeah.
They do have 1 game to lose, though, so the Spectre could make a comeback.
It could come out first. Well, if you're going to bring it out first, I guess. Because then you've still got the second game. You didn't want to wait until the second game when you're 1-0 down.
The most entertaining scenario is where Newbee wins game 1.
Yeah.
And that way game 2 actually matters.
It does.
Because if Newbee loses game 1, all of a sudden game 2 really doesn't.
We'll just shut off the stream, Peter. It's fine. We'll just go home.
Yeah. Well, then we're going to see some really crazy. Maybe we want Newbee to win.
Maybe we do.
If Newbee loses game 1, then maybe we see an amazing NP, a crazy draft, and we can watch Jackie Mao go like 0-20 or something.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm sure the chat would love that.
Yeah. No, I'm sure they would love that. Turning our attention to Newbee, they've been a bit of a sleeper team in this group in a way. They've sort of come through. They haven't really shone too brightly. Haven't really done anything badly.
They opened their opening match was against Team Liquid, I believe. They
2-0. Apiece.
They 2-0'd, I believe, Team Liquid. Team Liquid started really bad. They had like only
1 each.
Oh yes, that was day 2 actually. It was yesterday. But yeah, the Newbee, they've looked really strong at times, and then it's like it's a strong. Everybody knows Newbee. Yeah. They're a strong team. The players that are in there are strong names. I thought that they would end a bit higher, personally.
You wouldn't have expected them to be...
They still might. This is
But you wouldn't expect them to be in this position in the final game, would you? Having to win both games to qualify.
I would expect him to be there if it wasn't for if MP wasn't second.
Yeah.
If Liquid was second, I was like, yeah, of course. But Liquid's kind of fallen off.
Yeah.
Don't laugh at that. I'm telling the truth, right? Why is that funny?
I have a lot of faith in Liquid. I think they can still bring it back. I'm not sure
if
they've totally fallen off. That seems a little too savage.
No, okay. During
wow,
the group
hold
stages,
on. Did Peter just call someone else more savage?
I don't know.
During the group stages, they didn't perform as they should.
This is your European team. This is the team you took the side of the other day.
I believe in Team Liquid still as well.
I thought you said they've fallen off.
In the group stages, they did.
Okay.
You can't deny that.
Yeah.
Same thing goes for EG. They didn't perform as well as people were expecting them to.
You're just on fire today, huh? EG Liquid? Nah.
All right.
Never heard of them.
Everybody, Group B. Everybody saw Group B. Oh my God, Group of Death, best group. You look at the groups and it's like, yeah, Group B, that's a difficult group. The other one, oh, G's gonna win that one, and they did. It's a bit expected.
Right.
It's not expected. Empire might be second, but still, OG definitely a step ahead of the rest. And you look at Group B and everything was like, oh, scary, and then it was not scary because of NP. It was scary because you've got EG there, you got Liquid there, and there's the groups as well. It was not like NP was like, everybody's gonna fight, but NP.
I mean, there's a reason they're in 6th spot when they're shown in the group.
Yeah, they weren't expected to do as well as they did.
Definitely not.
That was my point.
Yeah.
So
no, that's fine.
I would say
I'm just totally messing around.
It's okay though. I mean, I do know how we get to the Burns unit around the corner pretty quickly from here, so we're fine.
No, I'm very hyped for NP though, because I do think that they're a very emotional driven team.
Yeah.
And when things go bad, as went in the qualifiers, things go bad and they have a tough time recovering. When things go well, I think this is a tournament that they can ride the high.
Okay.
That's riding the high.
NP's a good team. I think that they definitely have the potential to win games off of anyone here. They've proven that for sure. And I think MSS has been like my favorite player so far.
Yeah.
His Beastmaster is unbelievably good, and we'll see if Newbee decides to ban it or not.
MSS to EG after Kiev.
Yeah. What, replacing Universe?
Wow.
I don't know about that.
No, I don't know about that either. What is the matchup here? What is the critical matchup that you're looking forward to seeing?
I could say fun matchup.
Critical matchup?
Could be fun.
SCCC versus Envy. That's fun. Both players are also playing in the solo mid tournament later today, but they're two very different mids, I think. I think Envy is more of a core mid, and SCC is more of a flashy mid, if that makes sense, Peter.
For SC?
SCCC more flashy than
Definitely.
Envy. Envy more core-ish.
Yeah, we see. Well, we also seen Envy kind of stray away from the mid lane a bit this tournament as well.
Yeah.
And we saw Owie play mid a couple times. And
it's funny. Sorry, Peter. When we match up mids, you often see the stats are very similar.
Apart from that one just now.
Apart from that one.
Yeah.
It wasn't that far off, was it? Like
it was a fair few off in terms of average
participation
kills.
was
it's like 5.3 for Jackie and like 9 plus for SEC.
Yeah. So, but that's because SECC plays those flashy heroes that get the kills. Envy does that sometimes, and we definitely have seen him. For example, when he played Shadow Fiend against Sumail, he killed Sumail.
We also don't know. I guess it's kill. I don't know. I don't know. So I got nothing.
You're just worried about getting into trouble now. You can't get into trouble, Peter. No one's watching. It's just us three.
Yeah.
Sure.
We're just having a chat about Dodo.
All as well.
Yeah.
SC is definitely a flashy player. Envy, less flashy.
Okay. Less flashy. All right.
Less flashy.
Okay. That's fairly less savage. I'll take that. In terms of
solid though.
This first matchup, is this where they experiment? Is this where MP do experiment in the drop? Or do you think they actually focus on the first one, get the first point on the board?
Win your first game, then you can experiment.
Okay. Is that advice, or is that what you think will happen?
I think that's what will happen. I think they're done. I think they're very close. This is the last series. Yeah. They're in a great spot. They only need to win one game, and then they're guaranteed top 6.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big ask to make sure you come through this group as it is for any of the teams.
Got to play OG, but
but you're gonna have to play them at some point if you're in the tournament, especially in the upper bracket. So
rather face them in the upper bracket than in the lower bracket.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So have a second chance.
And in terms of Newbee, do you think that they can take this as a series?
Yes. I think Newbee has.
You think they can still 2-0 this?
Yeah, for sure. I think NP is a great team. Newbee's also a really good team.
Yeah.
Newbee's probably like second best Chinese team here. We'll see. I think that NP, as good as they're doing, I don't think they're one of the best 4 teams here. They just happen to be playing for a top 4 seed of the group stage.
Okay. Shiva, what do you think then?
I think that, I mean, it sounds, you know, they're a good team, but they're not top 4. You know, you're right in a way. At the same time, you know, they did prove themselves by beating all these teams to get here, and it wasn't just by luck. So it's like, I feel like
group stage doesn't matter that much.
All right.
Like until you're eliminated from the tournament, that's what matters.
Okay.
So
this is all practice.
NP gets into top 6. Congratulations, you're top 6 of the tournament. Like that's a good result for them. But they could easily lose this series and get last place. Like that's still an option for them.
I mean, it's the difference between winning 2 games or winning a game or not winning any games.
But wouldn't you say the same thing for Newbee then? Or would you expect them to do better regardless?
You would imagine if they go into the lower bracket, they're still going to win a couple of games. Still going to go through a couple of rounds.
Maybe. Well, that's just the difficult thing about this whole format and the whole thing is that group stage really, it matters, but it doesn't matter because
everybody makes it through anyway.
Yeah, you're getting to the main stage, and that's when you need to show up. Because if you have a bad day on the main stage, you're going home.
Yeah, I mean, the perfect example of that are OG. They've had several bad group stages, notably Frankfurt when they won their first major.
Sure.
They were awful in the group stage, genuinely awful in the group stages.
Yeah, and then you figure out something that works for you.
Scrapped through to the best of 1s, then somehow got through a best of 1, and then somehow got through the lower bracket, and then ended up winning the whole tournament.
Crystal Maiden has been banned in the first phase.
I don't think we've seen that.
I am appalled.
We have seen a lot of CM though.
We have, but is like, I wouldn't say specifically ban-worthy.
NP, it seems it is. So.
Oh well.
It just leaves some other hero in the pool. Alchemist and Naga Band's first 2 from Newbee. I think we can all applaud that. Fine with that.
Yeah, AY, little lesser heroes, a few heroes less to play. I do like the opening from NP a lot with the Magnus and a Dazzle.
Yeah, Dazzle sets up really well for the incoming melee support or melee carry. Match with Empower, and Dazzle can help that hero lane, no matter what it is.
Ooh, early silencer. We've seen a few, usually phase 2, but not this early.
I was casting earlier, and I saw LFY play silencer, and he was the position 5, but I feel like he wasn't like playing incredibly well, but he still had like the most impact by just having the threat of his ultimate. They were playing up against a Bane, and Bane couldn't ever use Fiend's Grip because Silencer was just sitting there waiting for him to do it. So this hero, as a support, as a position 5, can bring so much team fight to your team, you know, and it's global, so it's all over the map.
And it stops any follow-up from the RP, but there's no follow-up yet to have from NP. So I find it, I mean, I think it's a good hero, but it's very early pick, as Paul said.
It is early, but the hero is kind of gaining traction this tournament in terms of strength. It can work well against Dazzle. Yeah. You know, it can prevent that Grave coming out.
Speaking of traction, where is Lina?
Yeah, not
I mean, maybe they banned out the wrong of the sisters, but, you know. Lina is the hero right now.
You'd imagine it'll get a ban here.
At least Ember is gone.
We saw NP, we saw Rose play it last night and do very well.
He's tagged up as 1437 in the game, by the way.
Is he?
Yeah.
Identity crisis.
Yeah. Especially, you know, Rose, purple hair, 1437 game.
I get it.
What's it going to be?
Yeah. We never know.
Maybe he'll come out on top of it at the end if they do well. You know, crisis solved. As they ban out the Nyx Assassin. We've seen a couple of KPs Nyx Assassin do really well. I do like watching KP on different heroes than the Nyx Assassin. I like him. I would like to see him play Tidehunter. Where is Tidehunter, Peter? And
it's a dead hero.
Why?
Because his cooldown is way too long on Ravage.
He needs a talent that reduces that a lot.
Yeah, he's just not a reliable hero. There's just way better. You can get, arguably, like, it's pretty tough to get like 4 or 5 man Ravage.
Yeah.
But we see Centaurs and Sand Kings and Nyxes getting 2 to 3 man stuns pretty consistently at the level of skill we're playing
I
here.
don't know if you caught the end of the last game with the Enigma as well.
Yeah. Well, Enigma's a little bit different because he's like a huge team fighter, but even like on these kind of very low cooldown stun heroes. They're getting multiple heroes.
Yeah, Magnus, or rather, Centaur is still in the pool as well. So who knows? Maybe
I guess they've left the Lina alone, because a lot of time we've seen Lina, it's been with the Monkey King as well. It's been paired off.
Yeah, either team could still go for the Lina.
And for Monkey King as well, by the way.
A fine pick. I liked NP when they played Lina last night. I think they also had Magnus. But it was like, there was a nice balance of physical damage, but then they picked the Lina on top. Or no, it was against, it was EG and Liquid, I think.
It was the EG Liquid game, yeah.
Yeah, so EG had like a nice balance of physical damage because they had Magnus and then Lifestealer, and then they last picked a Lina. So all of a sudden, you know, Liquid was ready for a bunch of physical damage. They put in a Lina last, and they had this huge magical burst.
There is the Monkey King, third pick.
Yeah, I'm also more happy that SVG is going to play Slardar again. I don't know which one of the days he played it, but it was a treat to watch.
Yeah, they've also paired Slardar and Dazzle a couple of times already, so
he's been doing his Slardar's been a standout hero for him.
Yeah,
because other people in this tournament have kind of struggled playing with Slardar, yet he seems to be doing something right that the others aren't doing.
Yeah, maybe it takes a bit more for himself to get a blink dagger faster. Sacrificing Rosé a couple more times in terms of making him buy everything, making him do everything.
Last pick is for NP here, so let's see if they take their mid or their carry. I think it's most likely they would take their carry here. Something to battle well up against the Ursa.
There it is.
Or sorry, Lifestealer, not Ursa.
Minus armor is the way to go.
Yeah, this is a hero that Aoi actually likes playing a lot. Works pretty well with NP's kind of play style. They like to get an early advantage in the laning phase while roaming their supports. And then they kind of group up and ball up and start taking objectives, whether it's Roshan or tier 1, tier 2 towers.
I was expecting a melee core with the Magnus there.
Yeah, it's a little strange. Maybe maybe Envy will play some sort of melee hero mid. But I agree. I was expecting Ursa. It's a hero Aoi plays all the time, and it matches up really well against Lifestealer. It's actually pretty good against Silencer as well because he plays at such a fast speed.
Yeah, that's why Newbee banned it out as well. Just making sure.
Oh, it is banned.
Yeah, it's not gonna.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, it was.
But it would have been a really good hero and something that AUI plays a lot as well. What are we looking for Newbee? I mean, they already got the U9 Lifestealer.
So they have both their supports. They gotta look for their cores now.
Yes.
There's nothing like that really like particularly stands out too well versus Venge. Silencer is actually really good against Venge, even the core Venge. It's just really hard for Venge can right click, but it kind of just has to like run in, and it's a little odd. Maybe they could do some sort of like a vision hero that could give them sight of the Magnus, so they don't have to like worry about getting RP'd.
Or get some team fight of themselves, because they kind of lack that. There it is, team fight.
Nice. Yeah, some team fight. They definitely are lacking in team fight. Silencer's a lot of team fight, but they do need some sort of catch, and
they were lacking in stuns as well.
Yeah, they get that with Sand King and another vehicle for Lifestealer bombs.
So just SCC to go, as you already said. NP is the one picked last.
Yeah, we'll see what NP possibly thinks might be a problem for them, and then Newbee will most likely ban out the hero that will counter their 5th pick.
Yeah, so normally, because since Newbee has to pick their mid first, you try to read a lot into, of course, what NP needs and all that, but also in their last ban, because their last ban should be countering what they need. Can you not try to mind game them, ban out a hero that has nothing to do with that?
Yeah, you could go for
Do people do that?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they do that.
It's like,
the smart drafters do
I mean, I like to consider myself, or at least I used to be a pretty smart drafter. I don't know how often you pulled that maneuver, but it's definitely an option. It depends who you're playing,
doesn't it? If you're playing another guy that you think is a really good drafter, that's probably the time to do it, isn't it?
I mean, you're thinking like almost like 3 or 4 steps ahead at that point, and it's.
What if he thinks?
There's so much going on already. I mean, actually, no. Maybe I'm just bad. Maybe I'm not as good as other drafters because I don't know if I was on that kind of a level.
I don't know. I think we saw a few of those at TI5. Certainly with the CDEC stuff. I think you had a lot of respect for them in terms of drafts, and I think there were definitely some mind games going on in those games.
You're being too kind.
Whatever. So
there's still a melee core.
They banned out PA.
Yeah.
Longer is not good. What else is good against PA?
Lina.
Sniper.
No, there's still the Lina surprise.
Yeah. So they do go back for the Lina. And it is Monkey King Lina again, but they've just drafted it in a very different way.
They wanted to ban out a melee mid that Envy could play that could work with Empower. So P8 does make sense there.
What's good against Lina? What wins lanes against Lina?
Not a lot. Not a lot of melees.
No.
For sure. And I feel like that's kind of what they want.
Well, at this point, you're not going to sacrifice your mid lane by picking a melee if you can pick something that can actually win mid against the Lina.
That's true, but then Empower is like really going to waste, which is unfortunate.
Ooh.
Unless he gets an Aghanim Scepter, Peter.
Medusa.
That's not going to happen, I know.
Interesting. All right, well, let's just quickly recap. Now you've seen the draft as well. We'll get final predictions very quickly, Shiva.
I think Newbee is in a good place this game.
Okay.
It's a close. I think it's going to be close.
Do you think it's 2-0 or 1-1?
Oh, for the whole
Overall,
series, 1-1, which
1-1.
would put NP on the top.
Okay.
Yeah.
Peter?
I'll go with Newbee for 2-0. Why not?
Okay. All right. 2-0
That's
predictions.
wrong.
No, it's not.
Oh.
You said it, and they locked it in, you see. Oh, they've changed it. They've been so kind to you.
Hey, I was right previous game
You
after
were,
flip-flopping.
After you flipped. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe if you say, well, actually, maybe it'll be 2-0 to
And then I've
the other
covered
team,
all
and then
my
you've covered all the
bases.
bases, and we're all good.
It's true. Let's do that.
Okay, time for the nonsense to end here. We'll be back, of course, at the end of the first game. Let's find out whether MP can secure their spot in the top 4 positions and, of course, finish in the top 6 here at DAC without even playing in the main event. Or can Newbee take a 2-0 sweep? The game starts right now.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. The final game, Group B, myself, Lyrical, as well as Capitalist. Cap, we were expecting a melee core there at the very end. They go with the Dusa for NP. Do you think that's the right move? How are you feeling about the drafts?
Well, we actually had our own little predictions on the side here, and I was like, Troll, Gabe, you were on the money. You said PA, it got banned away.
Daggers.
And instead we got a Dusa, which is one of the few range heroes that actually does take the most out of Empower, right? It's a big damage upgrade and you're hitting multiple sources. So it is kind of interesting. I do really like the Dusa in this lineup just because of the fact that I think if you look at this, right, NP like to play a slower game in the first place, but it does make a lot of sense. This is not like the IG Lina. Right? This is a bit different. They're running a Lina with a safe lane lifestealer. This is a very early game focused lineup and does not extend very well into the late game. So NP are just looking to be able to play pretty defensively, just having a big tanky core like Dusa sitting on the front lines and basically having this hero serve as a blocker, right? And Newbee aren't going to be able to take towers very easily with Medusa sitting in front and the rest of the team sitting behind him. So I think this kind of fits the way to be able to defeat Newbee's a very aggressive lineup that they've drafted.
Yeah, and it's kind of an interesting play, too, because SC, we think about the way that he's sort of progressed in the mids. Before it was like the flashy players, the Invoker, the Storm Spirit, running in, making plays. And now it's sort of changed over to more of these farming-intensive heroes. And if he does get a little bit too aggressive, maybe step out too early in the early laning phase, a Monkey King Boundless Strike into Lina Light Strike Array, that's a pretty easy way to pick him off. So he's going to need to make sure that positioning is on point. We have the Monkey King Courier coming out to start the shenanigans early on here. But I'm very excited to get into this one as a smoke play.
An early smoke, wrap up a delayed smoke to try and get in there and take that bounty rune and ideally get a first blood as well.
Looking for Eternal Envy. Kaka charging up, walking forward. The slow is there. They have the Arcane Curse as well. U9 going to get a couple hits, but the crush should dissuade. Well, any more action? Maybe not. Envy is going to go down. Faith found him, but this might end up being to their own detriment as Kaka is starting to drop low as well. Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah,
1-for-1 exchange already.
They get the 1-for-1, but it is the first blood going to Newbee. There's nobody blocking their safe lane, which does mean it's going to be very favorable for their aggro tri-lane. Creep Equilibrium should be in a pretty good spot. I'm kind of curious. I wonder if Envy was thinking about leveling Mana Shield as he got initiated on. Obviously, it's not ideal. You really want to be able to have your Mystic Snake out there. It's a good farming tool and a good harassing tool as well, but maybe, just maybe, could have saved his life if he used it early.
Oh my god, I pontificated for so long about it. SC Medusa. My goodness gracious, how embarrassing. But SC Lina indeed is going to be the one who's trying to find the kill. Still the same thing kind of applies, that if it's Envy that's moving too far forward, you find a kill there and you help build that momentum.
It's okay. When you were talking about that, I thought you were referring to the Alchemist that they were drafting for him and stuff, and I was with you. You know, your overall storyline was correct. So this aggro time lane, though, very smart by NP. It does leave them an awkward situation. I was about to say, Sand King should be able to do okay against Magnus, especially as Caustic Finale gets leveled up, but U9 really doesn't want to deal with an aggro tri-lane in his face, so they're going to try and swap things up.
Monkey King again in the mid lane onto Envy. The right clicks are there. Mana Shield, even though it's leveled, not going to help him. So this early aggression coming out from Newbee, already making plays.
Yeah, this Monkey King Lina combination. I know you're casting a different series, but at the time I was watching, it was the IG game where they ran this Lina Monkey King 2 times in a row, and it was really good. It just destroyed Evil Geniuses.
And
so
the thing I like too, that's Poor Man's Shield that he picked up for the Monkey King as well. So he can take a little bit of damage coming in from the creeps, and since he tends to be going in deep, almost near where the towers are.
Yeah, it'll definitely help out a bit. There's not much you need to get on Monkey King, just a little bit of tankiness, and you're kind of good. So once he gets to like level 3, that's one of his big peaks in the early laning phase. He's already set SC off to a very good start. And, Envy's like, yeah, he's died twice, but he will be able to recover, I think, in his laning phase. Medusa's just one of those heroes.
Skewer back under tower. Kaka taking some extra damage from it. I don't know if the Poor Man's Shield ended up doing too much there, but he doesn't end up dying after getting skewed back under tower by MSS. Bottom lane, KP already there and going to be able to bring down the Dazzle. Faith helping him out, but KP gets the salve, and that will mean he is able to escape.
Yeah, it looks like NP, they tried to get aggressive and kill Faith's face silencer and just couldn't quite finish him off. And then because of that, he turns around and gets that last word onto 1437. Unable to use the Shallow Grave on himself as a result. Magnus is going to be very happy with all the farm that he's getting. NP, even if the Deuce is having a bad game, MSS is off to a great start, and I think MSS is one of the big reasons that NP is such a successful NA team. This guy is a fantastic offlaner, and if you get him a strong start, and I think that's one of the complaints I've had about NP in the past, is that they are so reserved and defensive and pretty farmy on their other 2 cores. It kind of leads MSS out to dry sometimes when he's their big playmaker.
Well, they have caught eyes onto Kaka here. With the bound to the strike, though, they should be able to just create that little bit of separation. Yeah, I like the idea that they're sticking him here in the safe lane, making sure that he's able to get a little bit of farm, a little bit of help in from the Dazzle as well. But likewise, Newbee rotating a lot of heroes up there. And
yeah, I think what MP really wanted to do with their aggro tri-lane is put pressure on the Lifestealer, which is fantastic. Lifestealers are very dangerous here. We've talked about this time and time again, right? The Lifestealer is just not a hero you can fully counter. So they kind of try and stymie his early laning phase farm. But it's also, I think they wanted to be able to force Kaka into a try versus try scenario and not have this Monkey King moving around. But Newbee just kind of played it defensively. They just rotated with U9 whenever they could and kept Kaka ganking that mid lane over and over again. In fact, he's setting up once again as Lina's going to come back into the lane, see if they can get another gank on him. Lina's not quite level 5. Maybe they'll wait for 1 creep just for that extra bit of nuking power. Oh, miskill. Faith goes down in bottom lane.
Still, you know, you're seeing that there's just so many threats around the map. Even for NP, if they do just sit in that static laning phase down there, a Vengeful Spirit in combination with the Slaughter, that's a lot of damage that can come out. And it does look like they're setting up for it again, going on to Eternal Envy. Creeps are there. There's a TP rotation in from Dazzle. And it looks like that's all Newbee wanted to force.
Yeah, NP got the successful scan on the Monkey King as he rotated around on the left-hand side. So NP did kind of have the heads up. They're ready to go with the TPs. So as it is, NP, what they're really hoping to do with this lineup, I don't know. It's going to be completely on AUI and MSS to be able to do a lot with their Magnus Vengeful Spirit combination because they did do an aggro tri-lane, the supports are going to be a bit underleveled. And I'm not sure if Slaughter is going to be able to find the space to be able to get that quick of a Blink Dagger.
There were a couple of wards placed down there. I think that the one in the mid lane might have actually been, it's within sentry range if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it is.
So that's going to be possibly 2 wards dewarded now by NP. Their vision is going to be pretty heavily hemmed in for the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, that sucks quite a lot because you really want to keep your eye on the Monkey King. It's why I see some teams like draft an actual scouting hero against Monkey. Dive onto Faith.
Going for him again. They're onto him already. Boundless Strike trying to keep him back, but the heal bomb's going to stop it. Now looking for the Solidar. They are going to be able to stun him up and bring him down.
1-for-1 trade-off. It's still like forcing attention. Like the fact that Monkey King is bottom lane is a win. As long as Envy doesn't die to SC here.
Oh, he just leveled up level 6, but he doesn't have the mana.
Yeah, unfortunately. He did, like, he was bottling through the tower hits and everything, but just couldn't quite get it fast enough.
Would have loved to be able to pick that up, but still, Newbee forcing him out of lane. You see that right now, the Lina 25 and 13, it's having a great time compared to that Medusa, not to mention the kills.
I think what NP are going to have to do quite a lot is protect their mid tower. It's one of Deuce's specialties, though, as a hero. Because she does get so tanky once you get level 7 or 8. You have those higher levels of mana shield. In Newbee, meanwhile, they need to find some ways to get those kind of deep ganks that catches NP off guard and transition into towers. They don't really have very good tower hitters. That is the one thing that's really missing for Newbee. They have a very aggressive lineup, but they don't necessarily have the, we win a team fight, we take, 2 towers and maybe a melee Rax. Like, it's not that kind of lineup.
Wow, early swap. KP breaks it up. That's actually going to be a lot of damage down. They end up committing the Grave onto the, well, Vengeful Spirit, but already dead is 1437, and they're going to take the Venge to boot.
Yep, Newbee. Some early grouping up, not terribly surprising. Newbee are very good at making full rotations of almost their entire team. They're just leaving U9 right now up at the top lane. You want to give the Lifestealer enough time to get his armlet before he starts becoming more of an active force. And in fact, I would say in this game, he may even continue to farm until KP has his Blink Dagger. Because what Newbee need to do is they need to hit their timings really hard. They can't afford to mess up too much. Again, it goes back to the lack of tower hitters, is that they won't be able to quickly transition through objectives. So when they do get their timing, they have to oppress NP near flawlessly.
Well, and this is the trade-off right here, too, is that you bring all those heroes, you don't manage to take down the tower, and Envy gets free farm as well as the ability to push out a lane here. Aquila's turned on, SC's going to rotate back in and be able to push out the lane after the fact, but all this chip damage, it's good stuff for NP. Does look like SC is scouting out that ward, although it did just expire the sentry, so they're going to need to bring out another one.
Another nuke out there. Envy doing a good job of trying to chip away at SC's mana to make sure he doesn't have a full wombo combo worth. So if he does, again, you can see Kaka's kind of waiting there. If he does get a surprise gank from the Boundless Strike from Monkey King, and it doesn't leave SC to be able to output his full course of damage.
So these first 9 minutes, Newbee a little bit ahead in terms of kills thanks to the Monkey King. You do feel, though, with this lineup that you need to make a lot happen early on, right? You can't just go into the late game on par with the Medusa and Magnus. Or would you disagree? You think that Newbee is okay?
It's definitely NP should be very happy with the way late game goes. They have a big team fight ability in RP. They have a great scaling late game hero in the Medusa, and even Vengeful Spirit, Slardar, and Dazzle all scale relatively well into late game. These two supports actually do a lot in late game. The Constant Crushes and Corrosive Hazes, as well as like Shallow Grave and Weave are always valuable, even going into the mega late.
Well, up here top, they're going to be able to find a kill onto Owie, so things going, again, more pickoffs for Newbee. Still questionable if they're going to be able to take a tower off of this, but it looks like that's what they're going to ever do next at the very least.
Yeah, SC deciding not to rotate back over to mid. He's leaving Faith to that right now. They want to get that global silence up. KP, let's see, he's level 6 right now, does have 600 gold. I'm trying to gauge what his Blink Dagger timing is going to be and whether or not he needs some extra help from the rest of Newbee.
They're in the area here. Just everybody contesting this 3 stack of creeps that we've seen. Good disjoint there with the Sandstorm, so KP will not get gone on.
Yeah, Sand King's really good at being able to juggle big creep camp stacks. Ooh, this is Global Silence.
They've got MSS in the area as well. They might try and turn this. There it is. They're going to be able to drop the RP. Can they find any more, though? SC very low. Will they be able to find that kill? He's walking away. Stewart is going to manage to take him down, so they take 2.
That Global Silence. MSS just sitting there with his invis. He's like, come on, come on, come on. He's just spamming the R button, but They did not have the damage, or they at least weren't fast enough with the damage to be able to finish off the Medusa in time. And a big turnaround play there from NP. NP, I think this is what they usually win games off of. They play pretty defensively, and they know how to occasionally set up these big reaction plays. So when the enemy team gets aggressive on them, they're able to just kind of either outnumber them or outposition them.
Speaking of outnumbering them, NP need to be a little bit careful, as everybody from Newbee TP down there. It did look like one of those TPs got canceled. So
yeah, I don't like this mass TP usage too much by Newbee. I think it is one of the big strengths of theirs in the laning phase, but as we're starting to get out of that, and we also know that NP is going to be splitting up and trying to out-split push them for a large part of this game, these mass TP usages really killed Newbee's mobility around the map, especially since the TPs did receive that nerf recently, upping the cooldown another 10 seconds.
Yeah, that's something to think about. When they were in their heyday, you know, dating back to right before the Manila Major, it was all about that mass rotations, and we'll have to see if they can adjust their game plan, or possibly even just, you know, make better usage of the initial movement from the map to put them in a position where they don't have to respond in that way. But a smoke gank moving in towards the bottom lane does not look like NP is going to run into anybody of consequence as pressure mounts towards this tower.
Yeah, they would have liked to get the... Like, this is a classic smoke into safe lane to try and get the pick and turn it into a tower kill. But Newbee know enough about this game that this late, the safe lane tower is kind of a death trap, and they don't want to be around that area too much. So it is, at this point, like past like 10 minutes, and the tier 1's still up. The only heroes that are going to be there are the disposable ones. You know, like a 4 or 5 position support that just wants experience or something like that. You'll never have a big core kill down there unless it's backed up by multiple heroes.
Yeah, well, Envy is still around here, which is maybe a little bit scary, but looks like Newbee are not wanting to try and go deep for that one, at least for now. There's a lot of vision in the dire jungle right now with these observer wards in the area, so maybe they're going to be able to make something happen. Like, Envy is completely exposed in this jungle, nobody nearby at all. He does realize that there's a couple of Newbee heroes in the area as Sand King was spotted, but...
Yeah, Newbee want to be able to see the potential rotations by NP to defend a safe lane tower if they choose to do something like that. Obviously, they just got to read that Dazzle is now behind the Medusa, and they also want to see the Medusa when she's rotating from mid into jungle and leave a potential opportunity for SC to get aggressive there. And obviously needs more than just him, right? This Medusa is tanky enough. He can survive through that blast.
Right. Yeah, and threw the weave on him there as well, just to make double sure. There's still a lot of movement by Newbee, but not a whole lot happening over these past couple of minutes. It feels like all of their moves have either been countered or they've met that impenetrable wall of Medusa that can't really do anything to. Do you think there's a problem? You're
going to be punished even more pretty soon. Envy's going for this build, the Blade Mail build on Dusa.
Oh, wow.
I think I've seen this before from Envy. I think he just really likes the stats. If you look at it, like every single one of those stats is value. You're never going to get bursted down entirely by magic damage. So the armor has value. Obviously, the intelligence is good for more mana pool. And then the early bit of damage is something that Dusa is often lacking, right? Because you see these Dusas and they go Manta or Lincolns, or in case of Mushi, Manta and Lincolns, and you just have no damage whatsoever. So I think it's like a nice source of early output for Envy. And then, you know, it's just another way to dissuade the enemy team from going on you.
Absolutely. And you talk a little bit about the extra damage buff that you get from the Magnus. Things are going to start to look at least not like a completely useless hero through the first initial phases. Not to mention you also have Stone Gaze, which is just super value in a team fight. So how does Newbee try and deal with this then? Is it just focus on every other hero? Because it feels like this is a lineup that wants to be hitting its stride pretty quickly here.
Yeah, it's, again, it goes back to that, like, they have to hit their timing really hard because of the way they drafted themselves, and they didn't really give themselves an out for late game, and they're going against a very defensive team in NP. What Newbee have to do here is make sure they get every single one of their items for these cores where they reach the real big peak. So, like, Bloodstone on Lina, Blink Dagger on SK, Armlet, and not Echo Saber looks like an earlier Deso for U9. get those items, and then just lay into NP over and over and over again. You really just have to keep up a very high-tempo game. Because what they're doing right now is you see this early game, right, Gabe? And you see, like, these heroes should be getting aggressive, but what Newbee are afraid of is failing to actually connect well enough. Inconsequential kill there on Dazzle, but it will probably get that tier 1.
It actually is kind of interesting, too, because the Lifestealer decided to go for a Midas before finishing off the Deso. He just had it delivered to him on the Courier. So I guess that it's, you know, hit that second item pretty hard as well. As looks like Monkey King's going to be able to TP out of there. As
maybe if, well, they need to kind of start moving towards Eternal Envy right now.
This is a wraparound that they've got, possibly.
Oh, no, they missed.
The Burrow Strike was not there. SC trying to run away. The Crush connects onto 2 of them as the Lifestealer jumps out, and it does look like they're just going to try and back out now.
Yeah, well timed by NP, and they may still have the, because the Infest Bomb is gone, they could still take this tier 1 tower.
Magnus has his Blink Dagger as well. Sand King obviously has completed his. Up on the high ground, Epicenter is ready, is going to burrow. All off the charge, at least for the moment. That's the Blade Mail down. Monkey King ulti as well. The Global Silence to follow. They are going to be able to bring down Envy, but won't be able to go for any more. I still think that's very much worth it.
Yeah, it's like a lot of ultimates used. The Global Silence is a particular one, but Envy is the most important hero on the side of NP. So it's not a bad fight for Newbee. I don't think it's terrible for NP either. Like, they got that mid tower. They're not going to lose any big objective off of this. The rest of their team is still going to be able to farm up at this point. So Newbee they're grouping up, but I don't feel like they're getting an amazing, like a whole lot done. And I think this does kind of lead into U9's thoughts of going to Hannah Midas, right? Is he's trying to give this lineup of theirs that doesn't have a whole lot of longevity some added benefit thanks to the items. It's kind of covering that weakness.
Wow. You also see here the Bloodstone just finished, and I mean it's quite it's a pretty decent timing, I would say, on it relative to where their team is at. They're ready to start fighting continuously as that Boundless Strike hits. And I mean, do you think that it's that big of a deal that he went for the Midas right now? Would you have rather him had like a Deso and then start moving around, or is it?
It's more about how the team feels the game is going. I think that it's a little bit of individual player preference, but it's also about, like, what have we accomplished so far? And I would say Newbee haven't accomplished a whole lot in progressing the game real quickly. Oh, nice pick on Monkey King.
Yeah, that's going to be an easy one. So Kaka didn't drop.
So again, I think it comes back to we're not on our trajectory to be able to close out this game when we really should be our strongest. Like, it's going to be kind of hard to hit that window. So let's make sure that we do scale well enough into 40, 45 minutes, because Lifestealer still has, like, Lifestealer is still a big threat 50, 55, 60 minutes in. It's just unfortunate that Dusa is the antithesis to Lifestealer, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you see that she is actually going to go for the Midas as well. So picking up a little bit of the Chinese flavor. This is what we saw going into the tournament, absolutely. And it's dropped off a little bit, but still very much impactful.
I like this choice by SC. I was looking at this. I don't think NP is going to give a whole lot of opportunities for a Shadowblade pickoff for SC. We've seen this over and over again, Bloodstone, Shadowblade. I think this game, much better to try and transition into that right-clicking Lina that we were talking about a little bit earlier. So instead of the Shadowblade, he's going to pick up the Force Staff a bit earlier. I'm not sure if it's going to be the full Hurricane Pike. I also don't know if, like, Aghanims is still the pickup for him. I'm not sure.
Well, in the meantime, Newbee are looking to find a kill, but it does not look like they are going to be guessing in the right decision.
I believe Faith is also going Hannah Midas.
All right.
He's got 1,700 gold, and Silencer is a scaling support that kind of turns into a core late game if you can find that farm. So,
all right. If they do get all these Hannah Midases online, does that outscale the Medusa?
No, it doesn't. It's still, like, NP will still have this hard lock on late game, I believe, but what it does mean is that the game is no longer over, let's say, at 45 minutes. It's now over at 60 minutes for Newbee. Like, because they have these Hannah Midases, it gives them they're not able to be as aggressive and as effective right now here in the moment, but they will be more effective at 35, 45 minutes because these heroes have an extra, like, 5K gold on them.
And, Cap, we were watching that game yesterday, the LFY series, I remember, and it kept on feeling like you have a strong window, and then you miss that window. You don't take that chance. You don't make the move. Is that something that you'd be at all worried Newbee getting into trouble with?
No, Newbee's not an LFY team, right? Like, they aren't making the moves right now that I would expect. Like, if I was in this position, I'd feel super pressured. I'd be like, guys, what the hell are we doing? We got to run at them, right?
Yeah.
But I think Newbee is not the kind of team to get spooked. They're playing passive, but they have a plan for it. I didn't see a plan when LFY did it. I was just like, guys, you kind of need to do something now.
Yeah.
Newbee do have a plan with these Hannah Midases. I think they are going to get very aggressive. I would say 25, 30 minutes. They're going to reach a serious peak, many of their heroes. What again, first and foremost, I think NP's play style, because they play so defensively and they do oftentimes have better late game than the enemy team, what it does to other teams is that it puts pressure on them and they want to get aggressive, and that's when the mistakes start happening and positioning. NP punishes that really well. Ooh, nice Shallow Grave in time.
All right, able to get that. Deuce is showing up as well. They're going to kill off the tower. MSS jumps forward, catches that RP, going to pull him back in as well. They have the Stone Gaze, going to use that. I was wondering if they were just going to skewer back instead, but they do end up using both of the big ultis for NP.
Lifestealer's still big target, so it's kind of like the earlier time where they blew everything on the Medusa. It's kind of worth it just because those two heroes, Lifestealer and Medusa, are the most important heroes for each team. So they're looking at Roshan, not worth the risk. NP. There's still a low enough death timer on Newbee, and you also have that instant death timer on SC in the upcoming team fights, so they should not take that kind of risk. I would be very happy if I was NP and where they're at. This is an interesting choice, though. Medusa is actually thinking about going for a Lotus Orb next to be able to purge off the silence. What he wants to make sure is that when they go on him, he's able to be able to take away that silence in some way and pop the Stone Gaze. Now, most people would say, okay, but that's what Manta is for, right? That's the Dispel. But he seems to have this idea. Again, it's a little bit of stats. It's better armor, maybe. But it's also, he's trying to make himself that it really hurts Newbee when they target Eternal Envy, right? They're going to have Blade Mail and Lotus Orb. You know that Lina is going to be throwing that Laguna Blade. When they go for this combination, Blink Burrow, Global Silence is used. Lina's going to use everything on that hero. He wants to try and make sure that Lina doesn't feel comfortable doing that.
So here's a question then. As the game goes on, there's so much armor and plus armor built up on NP. We might have to hold that thought. Roshan is going to go down. NP thinking about going for this, the Boundless Strike. It's Newbee that might be the ones that try and take the fight. There's going to be the Stone Gaze already out, but the Infest Bomb still waiting to pop out. They have not decided to go for it as of yet. With Global down. Nicely done. Pulling back in that Monkey King and taking him down.
That Stone Gaze was beautifully timed by Envy. Now the swap.
Swap onto SC. He's going to be dead in a second, but there's the Burrow Strike and the Infest Bomb jump out. RP drops to turn it again. They are going to have Lina back in an instant here, though. U9 getting healed up again by the Bloodstone Death, and does look like the SVG stun. Almost able to bring down U9, but he was able to get the target off for a second. Still drops down with the Aegis. Silencer is going to die as well. Light Strike Array, but can they bring down this big tanky Medusa? Trying to run her out of here. Do have the open wound, but the Force Staff's not going to be enough. They've been able to control the Magnus as well. Get the stun, mid-skewer away, is going to end up trying to TP out, but does die. So NP lose 4.
Remember that instant death timer that I was talking about for SC's Lina? It's hard to remember because it is a very new thing that you have to deal with as a team. NP, they won the initial fight, and then they kind of pushed out for more with that swap back and everything. They killed SC, but the problem is that guy's going to come right back, and he definitely helped clean up that fight. He got off his Laguna Blade. He actually recovered all the Bloodstone charges that he lost from his initial death. So
it looked so good to start, but
yeah,
maybe
they get that kill, and they get a little ahead of themselves, I think, in some ways.
Yeah. I think that also the heal back up onto U9 gained him to full HP after the duration of the RP had ended.
Yeah.
But
it's not a terrible fight for Newbee. It's absolutely not. Like, they were so close to being able to really wipe this fight, but NP, ultimately, I think it was kind of like a wash overall. They could have come away better if they just taken those, like, 2 kills and backed away. And, but still.
Do you even go for the Lina first? Do you just wait until the end to kill off Lina?
Well, it's not really up to NP most of the time. They're not really going to be the ones initiating for the most part. They're mostly going to be reacting to whatever Newbee does.
Well, they need to react pretty quickly here. Eternal Envy getting gone on. Doesn't manage to get the Stone Gaze off in spite of that global being dropped. And now the jump forward ends up getting bashed immediately, which gives the rest of Newbee time to walk away from the RP. Burrow Strike connects onto 2. Now trying to find more. Light Strike Array connects onto 3. 1437 trying to figure out who he wants to grave. He takes Owie's, keeping him alive, but that means that Eternal Envy falls, and Owie's going to die regardless. Double kill, now taking more. They're all over NP. Newbee. Looking good.
Yeah, remember when I said you have to hit that timing really hard? Just go, 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 right? They just won that, or they had that like back and forth in the mid lane, and Newbee immediately look for another fight because they're not really cooldown dependent. There's like Infest and Epicenter, Laguna Blades, what, 50 seconds because he's now level 19. It's really not much more than a minute for most of these abilities for Newbee just to kind of keep going again. So they made that aggressive play. NP, again, kind of got ahead of themselves. I think you'll watch, they get off a really good Monkey King ultimate, and Envy doesn't need help right here. But MSS still chooses to blink in alongside SVG, and they're going into a Monkey King ultimate.
Now, that stun as soon as MSS jumped in as well. Really unfortunate, but nonetheless, it's looking quite good for Newbee at this point in time. Is there anything that they need to be really worried about, maybe getting too over-aggressive, thinking about high ground, and then throwing away this advantage they've built, or do you think they're good to go?
No. They should absolutely be a little bit nervous about that. NP were winning probably the first 15 minutes of the game, I would say, maybe even 20, just because you look at its even net worth, and I would say that's the advantage to the DAC strategy. But Newbee did have that plan, right? We're still waiting for them to drop that execution in the mid game, and you know, they have such good teamfight heroes and so many ways to initiate and counter-initiate that we knew they were going to get hit really hard. And sure enough, all of a sudden, boom, that's their moment right there. They jump up to an 8K gold lead. What they have to make sure is that they just don't get ahead of themselves. They've got these hand of Midases. Remember, just, you know, you're going to be able to prolong your effectiveness in this game because of those pickups. So just start controlling the map first and foremost. Make that 8K gold lead into a 12K gold lead, 15K, just by controlling the map and limiting the farm for NP.
Likewise, though, you also hit level 20 with Lina, and that means you can siege from further away without putting yourself at risk. Attack range, damage, everything for her. 17 Bloodstone charges is building back now. Is that into Silver Edge completed as well? Yeah. This is looking mighty good. I think that probably just Roshan and then at least testing high ground, or possibly just going for a big smoke gank, and if NP get caught out, then you've got free access.
Kaka's also getting a Shadow Blade here. So I think they really just want to play off of controlling the game and seeing if they can win NP. They inevitably have to go for split push plays and that sort of thing, try and catch them out. Once they catch NP outside of the base, then boom, that offers an opportunity for them to go high ground. I don't think Newbee will ever be in a position where they feel comfortable just 5-manning into NP while NP has 5 waiting on the high ground. I think that's just a little bit too risky.
Okay.
NP are not comfortable enough with this game position for them to just sit on high ground. They'll always have to push out, and Newbee are going to find pickoffs like this one.
There it is, right immediately onto Owie. Never had a chance as the Monkey King ultimate comes out, stacking those stuns together beautifully with that ward placed up on the high ground. I really do like the talents that Medusa has. She's just going to get that 600 mana one that she ended up going for at level 20, which does make her incredibly more tanky. But it still does run into this issue where what's this hero really going to do? Like, the damage you got from Blade Mail was nice in the early stages, but a little bit lacking. Maybe, I don't know. What's your thoughts?
As Medusa as a carry really doesn't become super scary until like 45 minutes. And even then, with Newbee's current net worth lead, I think they'll still be able to contest Medusa at that point. So NP just, they got to buy time for Scotty to be picked up by Medusa, and then maybe he picks up a Butterfly, depending on, you know, item choices of Newbee at that point in time. You know, just try and build up. An AC could even be in his future. I'm not sure if other members of NP are going to be able to build one. That armor item would be rather effective versus this Lifestealer.
They've got so much forms of different armor. You've got the Greaves, you've got Dazzle Weave, Vengeful Spirit here as well. Plus and minus abound. Just needs to find the correct fight for them, or I guess hold out as long as possible. So controlling the map to the best of their abilities. You do see the Radiant wards inside of the Dire jungle. But likewise, Dire been able to place down a couple, keeping vision over their own jungle as well.
Yeah, they have some pretty good information, but you can see whenever they do farm like this, NP are pretty good about their positioning of their other heroes. You could see SVG right now, right? He's farming neutrals, so he's still being efficient, but he's pushing forward to make sure that if there are smoke rotations across somewhere to gank the Medusa, he'll be the one who pops it first. You lose your Slardar, it's not that big of a deal. And if nothing comes along, then SVG is still being efficient.
Yeah, they're sort of building a wall, encasing the Medusa to make sure that Envy does not get taken down here. And just back to home, farming a little bit more. There was a scan down in the bottom. Radiant able to spot out that heroes were here, though seems unlikely that Newbee are really going to try and move all the way across the map to kill off these guys.
Because of the loss of those that big team fight in the bottom lane, NP lost enough tempo in this game and also enough of a net worth lead to Newbee's favor that I think NP actually have to try and go for a smoke gank push out, because this gem is going to be very problematic for them. With Newbee controlling most of the lanes and having better team fight possibilities, right, just because they have such good initiation, it means that NP is going to feel very crowded in, and they have to clump up a lot just because they have no vision down. They don't really know what Newbee's up to unless they're showing on map, shoving down a wave. So they need to take that gem away from the hands of Newbee. I'm just not quite sure how they're going to do it, like how they're going to set this one up. But I don't think they can just sit on their laurels and wait.
Well, they're all standing under wards right now as well, and immediately they jump onto the Medusa. Envy is just gone, and maybe going to lose the Dazzle as well. 1437 getting right-clicked to death. Will get a first-hit bash. Not that it would have mattered anyways, but those are a couple kills that feel very painful at this stage.
Yeah, at the very least, they need to get a gem for themselves. If they don't take away the gem from KP, then they need to get a gem for themselves to make sure that when they do kind of split apart like that, Newbee aren't reading that, but thanks to, you know, aggressive wards like in their jungle that are currently there and seeing the opportunities for fast pickoffs. Pickoffs like that are kind of what kill your game, because now Newbee weren't able to feel comfortable going high ground before, but now they can take tier 3, maybe even force buyback.
Well, and this is a difficult question too, because do you want to buy back on Medusa, kill your chance at farming? He's relatively close to the Scotty, and
I actually don't think he buys back here.
Yeah.
If you buy back, I don't think you ever recover as the Medusa.
I was a little bit wondering if Newbee were going to think about going for a second tier 3 there, but it seems that the choice is instead going to be take down these shrines, make sure that you establish further map control and dominance. Newbee just running away with this one.
Yeah, they certainly are. Boy, it happens so fast. Like I said, it's what it needs to happen, but Newbee they surpass my expectations.
So another movement by NP, want to smoke out, see if they can catch somebody. It is all of Newbee sitting up on high ground, though, across the river. But then Ancient Black Dragon. All right, we haven't seen him hanging out for a while.
I wonder why. Maybe he just wants to be able to have some sort of
breaking the
vehicle
smoke.
Yeah, maybe kind of like push out and make sure he can't really be jumped. There's no opportunity for like the smoke gank to come out and like for them to be able to RP the lifestealer and skewer him back because he's in a dragon.
Yeah. I think that smoke was read pretty well by Newbee. They knew that NP wanted something to happen, and so instead of holding out, you know, a support to dry, they instead send the lifestealer inside of the Ancient. It does mean that there's not an infest gank possible right now, just sort of a bit of a sad part of it, but
yeah, that kind of damage is not hugely impactful right now. Newbee are the ones who control the game. They just have to make sure they don't make a misstep. And NP, like, I would absolutely think that NP is feeling desperate, and that's where those kind of aggressive smoke pushes out comes from.
Medusa probably feels very safe right now because the Scotty is done. There's, you know, weave on him as well, but maybe a little bit far away from his team. We'll see if they can get here in time to save his life. He's going to pop the Stone Gaze. Laguna Blade already goes out. Envy just going to be able to be staffed away.
The Stone Gaze used. This is a good opportunity for Newbee to try and catch.
SC looking for the kill. Burrow strike onto one. Catching and killing 1437. Maybe going to be able to find more. Force staff to the high ground, but KP is wrapping around from the left side of the map. Kaka gets a bash. Is going to be able to find a light strike array. Another stun to follow. Magnus is going to die. NP lose 2, and there are no buybacks on those heroes.
Yeah, this could just be the end, just because the Stone Gaze is on cooldown for 60 seconds, and so is the Magnus. That RP is on cooldown for 60 seconds because of his death timer. So at this point in time, Newbee just barrel down the bottom lane, take a second lane of racks. If they get any pickoffs, I think that's probably 3 lanes of racks in the end of the game.
Look at Kaka. He's all the way back there by the space. And, well, there's the jump forward. Going to be able to catch the immediate counterplay, and the global silence dropped. Is not looking quite good at all for NP, as Medusa going to be brought down here in just a second. I do believe Shrine is super value on Medusa, but not value enough, as Newbee came to play, taking down another. BKB pop for Aoi isn't going to be there. Epicenter finds that kill, and GG is called.
Well played by Newbee. They read this game incredibly well. They just stayed very patient, waited for them to really hit their window with their mid-game action, just took it to NP really hard, and then they did everything they needed to control the game, right? They didn't go, oh, let's go high ground, let's just 5-man into them like idiots. No, they controlled the game really well. They picked up that gem, they killed all the vision, and just waited for NP to make the mistakes that led into the high ground push through mid, and then NP, they had to feel super desperate from that point onwards.
Totally, yeah, and I think, again, NP right now, they need to win one game. They need to pull it back together. I do think that they have it in them, certainly, and there are moments there where we could see what NP had in mind, but didn't just all end up working out into their benefit. Any final thoughts about things you might think they need to change going into the next game here?
Well, eventually one of these Western teams is going to be like, let's not give away Monkey King Lina as a duo. I know everybody would like to be able to find a way to be able to deal with this before they get to the main stage, but at the same time, there is a lot to be won here for NP. If they could just take one game here, they secure themselves top 6.
Absolutely. Well, everybody, we're going to find out what the panel thinks. We'll send it back over to you guys.
Thanks very much, Lyrical and Capitalist in the commentary booth. We'll come back to them, of course, for game number 2. But Newbee, then, are on the verge of making the top 2 in their group, or are they? One game will decide everything. I guess it's a best of 1 now, Peter. That's the way we have to look at it, isn't it?
Yeah, this is I think it's the best case scenario for entertainment purposes.
That's what we wanted, wasn't it?
Yeah, game 2 now matters.
Yeah,
quite a lot.
Yeah, indeed. What do you make of Newbee's performance in game
1? I think it was kind of expected. I think that Newbee is a really, really good team. I'm not surprised at all that they had such a dominating performance.
You think they got the draft they wanted as well?
I think that their draft was very good. I really liked how they played. I think, so we're seeing a lot of Magnus in this tournament, and Magnus kind of, the early pick Magnus kind of means you want to go with a melee hero. And NP just felt so uncomfortable picking a melee core in this game that they actually went with Dusa, which really... Empower doesn't really speed up Medusa's farm too much, so you didn't really have this incredibly farmed kind of melee core hero that works with Magnus, and this is partially because of the cores that Newbee also picked. They picked Sand King, and then they picked Lina, and Sand King incredibly good versus melees in lane. It's kind of dissuades you from wanting to go that route, and then Lina is kind of almost similar to like a Shadow Fiend or a Storm Spirit or someone who just really kind of dominates that range versus melee matchup. Yep. And Lina's really good, and I've become a huge believer in this hero. Kind of the surprise for me for this tournament.
Is it a believer or a believer to the point where you feel like she might be getting hit with the nerf bat?
Maybe some changes, who knows? But regardless, for this tournament, it needs to be addressed. The hero's very strong. People are playing it very well, and one of the biggest team fights in this game was where. The Lina just had the instant respawn, showed back up to the fight, and killed 3 heroes.
Yeah, it's almost like having a 6th hero, Shiva.
Yeah, it really is. A respawn timer or a reduced respawn timer on talent
would make sense, wouldn't it?
It would make sense on supports, and Lina is also a little bit of support, but she's also so easy to make a core. So it's it's one of the reasons why Lone Druid got nerfed. he had a minus respawn timer in his talents, and people were like, well, that's too much, and then instantly, nerf bet come through.
A huge factor as well is the shrines that are now in the game that make this respawn timer such a big deal, is because, if the respawn timer, if it was there, it's fine, but if Lena had to port to like the tier 3 to kind of get back into the fight, it wouldn't be that big a deal. Instead, you port to the shrines, which are almost like at the middle of the river, and you're back in the fight.
Yeah, does make a big difference. In terms of the way the MP played, obviously draft picks weren't particularly good. We've already discussed that, but in terms of the way that they're playing right now, do you feel that there's a game in them to win here?
They had a solid early game, right?
Yeah, I mean, it felt okay early, didn't it?
It was not bad. Yeah.
No, I think they're playing okay. I just think that they found themselves in a very uncomfortable position, a place they didn't want to be. And Envy's item build is pretty theorycraft, a little too theorycraft for me. But
both Purge and Fogged liked the build.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's
but they did need to think about it for a little bit. It's like, that could work.
It's. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of cool, and like you have a lot of plus damage anyways through Dazzle, Dazzle Weave, and Venge Auras, and Slardar Amp. Like Slardar and Medusa are a really nice combo.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'm a big believer in all these. It's just a little too theorycraft for me. I just want to see. I prefer when people play a little more standard and a little more makes sense, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, standout player for you,
Kaka for me.
Kaka?
I mean, SEC, sure, he played Lina really well. That would be the other one, but it's Lina, so it's maybe the hero has a little bit of an impact there as well. But I think Kaka played a really good Monkey King. It felt like if you compare it to the Monkey King that we saw from OG earlier today, it is a very different style. The fight on the bottom lane, where that was the real big team fight that Newbee finally hands down won and beat everybody of MP. He positioned himself so well, had his ultimate up, and then was there still to chase. And also the last fight, he makes sure that he comes in from the back of the fight because he was already positioned there. It's not that he has to get there during the fight. He's already there. He was at the right place at the right time. Yes, Kaka.
The Monkey King with the Basher and the ultimate is absurd. In that one bottom fight, kind of in the middle of the lane, MSS went into RP. And he blinked in, and he got bashed by one of the Monkey Kings that's running around, and he was, all of a sudden his 2 to 3 man RP is him solo RPing a Lifestealer who's already got Rage on. So definitely a huge fight. Cap was talking about Lina and Monkey King as a duo.
Yeah.
I think they got to figure out something to do with the mid lane because mid lanes are just feeding over and over to this combination.
Yeah, it has been I don't want to say a popular combination, but yesterday we saw it start to rise to the fore. We started to pick up on the whole, teams are now picking them together. We made the point in the first half of that draft that they hadn't picked either. Then they pick up one, and you sort of think, is the other one coming now as well? And then it did.
But only as a fifth pick. There was still
a chance
to remove it.
It just seems weird that you would leave it in the pool right now when it's so strong.
I'd like to see Wisp make a comeback.
Yes.
I feel like we haven't seen any of that hero.
It's had a ban here and then nothing else.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that hero could potentially turn around a lot of these Monkey King ganks because they are diving pretty far. These ganks are kind of following up into the tier 1 tower. Yeah. And Wisp could definitely turn it around.
Okay, we should confirm to you at home as well the positions as they stand right now, because we do potentially have a tiebreaker on our hands. But something has to happen, and something did happen earlier on because Liquid did manage a 2-0, which now brings them back into play. Shiva earlier said they've been awful. Fallen off a cliff, I think, was the
I jinxed them, or rather I unjinxed them hereby. So, yeah.
It's a tiny cliff.
It's European magic.
And there was a trampoline at the bottom, and they've managed to bounce back up the other side of the cliff. So Liquid are back in play with a chance to not make the top 2, of course, but to take 3rd place in their group. Now, in order to do that, something else has to happen, and we're already halfway through that something else, which is that Newbee have to 2-0 NP. Now, we're on the verge of that happening, so if Newbee win 2-0, then Newbee qualify in the top 2 positions. Are you still following me? Good. And then what will happen is 2 teams will tie for 3rd, which will be Team NP and Team Liquid. They will then have a tiebreaker best of 1 to decide who finishes 3rd. Now, you might ask, why does that matter? They haven't qualified for the top 2, and you would be right, except that the team that finishes in 3rd get to choose who they play in the lower bracket.
And that would be between
MP and Liquid. Would play either EG.
Yeah, but they as as a third position, they can they choose from the entire part?
I think
or
they
just
can only choose from the bottom 2.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, but not the bottom 2 of their group. No, the bottom 2 of
the other
group.
group.
So it'd be like
Correct.
Faceless
yes.
and
VGJ, I would think.
Sure.
Yeah, still waiting for the results to pan out.
So they definitely choose Faceless, right?
I would think so, with the form that we've seen them. Yeah,
yeah,
and they've been terrible, but they've been a little bit erratic.
I was not impressed this morning.
Yeah, no, they were poor this morning as well. Unfortunately,
It's a bad day.
Yeah, could be a bad day.
Main stage is a whole different thing.
It does change, doesn't it?
It's a different atmosphere.
Yeah,
and it's best of 3s, not 2-game series. Makes a difference as well.
Yes, absolutely. We've also got some more social media questions that have been coming in. We've been taking these for 3 days, and we'll continue to take them. This one: does not being able to skill stats anymore affect the laning stage, Peter?
There was very few heroes that were skilling stats during the laning phase anyways. I'm trying to think of a couple.
Juggernaut? Did it change Juggernaut?
Juggernaut sometimes did, but like people started realizing how good Healing Ward was, so they stopped doing that. Sven was the hero that would occasionally skill stats, but people started skilling Warcry.
Because that got buffed
even just like less points in stun and early points in cleave. So I don't think it has really much of an effect.
Have you not missed it?
No. I think
the talents are much better, right?
Talents are much better. I think skilling stats was there was a problem when heroes would skip their actual spells and skill stats instead. It said something was wrong with their actual skills. So
I can say though, sometimes when you're later on in the game, you're leveling up, but you don't actually realize that because obviously nothing changes until you reach a talent mile point.
Right.
And that can be, it's satisfying when you level up and you're like, oh, what? I get to do something. I don't know. I kind of sometimes miss that, but that's just me.
Okay. Let's take one more social media question. Would you prefer having 3 or more options per talent's choice?
Oh, the theory crafting.
Can you imagine how Purge's head would just explode with 3 or more per level? I think I quite like the choices at the moment. You either go one side or the other side, and then you can flip backwards and forwards, but there is a choice of 2, and that's it.
Yeah, there's plenty of tweaking
there's still a lot to be done, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a lot of custom character, like hero customization is kind of a cool idea to kind of make each hero different for each game, which is nice. Before you could do that with items, now you can also do it with kind of talents, which is fun. I think that once you get to like 3 or more, it gets maybe a little too complicated, and I've been a fan of simplifying things. Right. Purge made a good point yesterday. I was like, I don't like it because it's it's too much, but he's like, oh, it's like nice because it's like the piece of candy kind of thing. Like it's fun, it's rewarding, and it's a good experience.
Yeah. So 2, stick to 2 for now.
I think for now, stick to 2.
I think we got our hands full. I think Dota's already hard
it
enough
is
to learn.
enough. It's hard enough to learning everything else, let alone that. I've got a quiz question for you.
All right.
If you include all of the qualifying games
Yeah.
from all the different regions and the main group stages that we've had so far, there are only 2 heroes that haven't been picked.
Is Husker one of them?
No.
Oh.
Or banned, I was going to say at the end
Race
of that.
King?
So picked or banned.
Race
So there are 111 heroes
I was thinking
picked or banned. There are 2 that haven't. Which ones are they?
Oh.
See, this is how you fill time.
I was thinking of
We're just going to sit here and think. That's how
I was thinking of a sleeper earlier. I totally forgot about it.
There are 2.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, Oracle got picked earlier today.
Yes, and has been picked before.
Yes.
Yeah. There are 9 in there that have only been banned, but haven't been picked, Huskar being one of them. But there are 2 that have not been picked or banned during the qualifiers or the main group stage so far.
Let's just spoil. Let's get the brain blast out of the way.
Really?
I have no idea.
It's not Gyrocopter because he got played.
Yep.
Is it? Okay, can you give us hints in terms of supports or cores and things?
They both start with the same letter.
That's not a hint. No, that doesn't do it.
That's a hint.
That doesn't count.
That was a shitty hint, man.
That was a shitty hint. Are we gonna guess a letter? Is it an S?
Can't even figure one out.
T.
It's a T. Terrorblade. No.
No.
What other heroes with T? Tinker, Techies?
Techies.
Yeah,
Techies is one. Yeah.
He's not in captain's mode.
He's not in captain's mode.
Yeah. So not picked or banned.
Which other heroes start with the T, Peter?
Your question just got a whole lot worse, by the way.
I didn't say in captain's mode. I just
you said it didn't get picked in the goddamn tournament mode.
There are just 2 that haven't been picked or banned.
They both start with the T. Which other heroes start with the T?
Tree and Protector.
Correct.
Yeah, you suck, man. What the heck?
I think I may have just officially trolled PPD. I'm just going to write that on my
everyone.
CV.
Everyone's mad. Pull up the Twitch chat.
You guys at home, you were already on the same wavelength as me. You knew I wasn't talking captain, so bit of fun. We will get into the draft very shortly for our second game. Just a reminder for you, it is Newbee needing one more game. If they win one more game, they qualify in the top 2, and that means they go into the upper bracket. NP need 1 as well, and they will go into the upper bracket. It's effectively a best of 1 now.
And if Newbee wins, there's tiebreakers.
Yes, that is one very important thing. It is 2-0 to Newbee, and we will have an extra tiebreaker.
More Dota 2.
One more BO1. There's not a tiebreaker for Group A?
No, we've.
What were the results over there?
Because Malini has figured out, his brain has gone mad.
He's the resident genius.
He's the resident genius, and he's figured it all out, mathematically corrected things.
There was a wall of text.
And figured it out.
I did not read it.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
I just took his word for it.
But he says there won't be a tiebreaker in the first group. It's impossible, apparently.
The Oracle has spoken.
Yep, there you go.
I'm taking it from Malini.
I trust him.
Yeah. I'm not sure I trust him, but we're gonna trust him for this time. We are into the draft for the second game then. Newbee one up, as you can see.
Same bands.
Same bands.
Unexpected.
Yeah. Surprised we haven't seen the